Welcome back to Absolutely, guys. My name is Benny, and joining me is not one of our usual co-hosts. Today is one of our guest hosts, Neb, from Neb's Good Takes on Twitter. A huge fan of Titans, and everyone left me alone to watch it, so I invited Neb back.
I'm happy to be the only one.
Yeah,
There's got to be somebody.
By default, Neb, you have been invited back to talk about Titans.
Happy to be here.
So today we're going to be talking about episodes 7, 8, and 9. And I have a lot of thoughts on the bring back and what is quite obviously feeling like we're coming to a finale. Trying to think of where to even start. I guess we could just start with how they all got revived. Like, where should we go? Start because we're trying to cram 3 episodes into one review.
Right, and the first 2 episodes weren't that memorable. So the problem is actually that the episode that just came out was supposed to come out last week, and they changed it last minute. So that's why it didn't feel like it made any sense at all.
It did feel weird because the first 2 episodes felt like a side adventure for the most part. Like, the
Yeah.
Titans are back to solving the problem. Oh no, we're lost in a town. I kind of liked the town plot, but you're right. It didn't feel like, it just felt like a side quest.
Yeah.
Like, someone said to get the bathroom key, you got to go get lost in the town. So they went to the town and got lost in the town. I really did enjoy the camera work they did with it, where they changed it from being blue to being more of a yellow. I enjoyed the costumes. I mean, I just got a comment. Brandon, whatever his name is, the guy who plays Nightwing, he looks great in a pink polo. He looks good.
So good.
And I have to bring it up because they brought it up like 3 times that he was in a pink polo.
He's a big dude. Like, I've never seen someone so threatening in a pink polo before.
What I liked is in those particular 2 episodes, which the rundown of what happened to those 2 episodes is they were chasing down the Horn, which, if I gather correctly, was going to be used to revive Trigon. It was being kept in this alternate dimension. The Titans arrived. It was Starfire, Nightwing, and Raven. They showed up to this town, discovered that the town had some kind of weird multi-dimensional thing on it, and they had to find a way out of the town and the mind-controlled slaves that were inside of the town. That's your quick rundown as to what happened over 2 episodes. I managed to tell you in 30 seconds. But
That's about as much information as I retain, to be honest with you.
What I liked about it was that the idea was that they had to latch onto their old memories. And they made such a big point about that, like reliving Starfire's past, reliving Robin's past, only for it not to matter. Like, what?
If Titans loves anything, it's just using old clips over and over again.
And that's exactly it. Now, the reason I bring this up is they were using old clips of when him and Starfire met. And you're right. He's a huge guy in the 4 years that this show has been going on. Like, you could see just like he's just gotten bulky as hell.
It's what cracks me up is so they had the really good church fight scene in the second episode.
Yeah.
And if you notice, every time there's a really good fight scene with him lately, he's not wearing the Nightwing suit because that thing weighs like 300 pounds somehow. A Nightwing suit is ridiculously heavy. That's why it's always so good.
Based on your Twitter thread where you're talking about it, it sounds like he's not very functional in that suit anyway.
Yeah, because you can do stuff with the Estrema sticks, but he can't necessarily like do all the crazy flips and all that. They were really figuring it out during the season 2 finale, where there's that really bizarrely edited fight with Deathstroke, and that's why it was so strangely edited, because he was doing flips. But it's a process sorting all this stuff.
So the episodes, I liked it because it felt more like classic adventure with the Titans, but at the same time, there was just weird decisions that happened in it. Like, we spent half an episode talking about attaching themselves to their memories for it literally to not work. Starfire just gets lost in it, and then he's getting lost in it until Raven just slaps the crap out of him.
Yeah. Like, at least with Dick and Corey, it's obviously to just build up their relationship even more for presumably them getting together at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So it definitely had its use there, and it did seem like something Batman would have trained him for in that specific way. So I did appreciate that. And it was a cute little thing, but no, yeah, it's just one of those Titans things.
I just didn't like that we spent so much time on it for it not to work. Like, if you're going to spend half the episode working on, okay, so we got to attach ourselves to our memories. It's going to ground us. All right, cool. This is a cool concept. And then it just got thrown out immediately. Oh, Corey, I messed up. My bad.
Yeah, because I think, it's been a week, but I think Corey, it did work for her off screen. Yes, yeah, because she came back. and so she was fine. But then Dick was still having trouble. He was busy in the church.
Yeah. The the biggest problem I had with the 2 episodes wasn't even the plot, because I felt the plot was a fun little side adventure. It did feel cohesive. It felt better than like the weird one-off, two-off episodes that we get in CW all the time, where Flash just picks a random side cast member and then he
Right.
disappears for the episode. Uh, but this one, the only thing that really stood out as weird to me was the concept that two people had to be deaf so they couldn't be affected by the music.
Oh my God. So you know, I'm not an expert on deafness, right? And I did not do any research into that, but I don't think that's how being deaf works. And it
My exact thought.
it's the most baffling thing I've seen happen in this show in a long time. That's saying something, right? Because it's Titans, but they literally had a deaf cast member 2 seasons ago, which makes it even more confusing. Like,
Yes.
you think they would know more with Chellaman and everything. Now, so I did look it up a little bit because first of all, I mean, I guess it's probably different if you're either born deaf or you become deaf later. But they have a hard time speaking like out loud in a way that doesn't sound a little funny because you can't hear yourself speak. So
Right.
it's hard to reference your own tone, right? But they were just talking normally the whole time. And so again, I don't know if they can just do that if you're not born deaf, because then you would have a reference. But still, that felt a little odd to me. And then so then they say that they're lip readers, and it's like, okay, so I had to look this up, and yeah, deaf people can. It's not, widespread. It's not common, but certain people they can get very good at reading lips. You can basically eavesdrop from across rooms, but they establish that they're lip readers, so you get to like kind of like forget that part for the plot for a second. And then they have multiple scenes where they understand each other perfectly fine or other characters without ever looking at them.
As soon as they said that they're lip reading, I was
Yep,
watching for it the whole
right.
rest of the show.
Now
And
you
you're
can't
right;
look
they would have
away.
their back to them, or like they'd be side by side, looking up at the tower. And I'm like, you're not looking at each other. You can't give us that excuse and then not do it. Like,
Yeah, and you can tell it was just a fault in the direction because that woman she was trying because I was keeping my eye out for it, and she's like generally trying to keep an eye on the male character the whole time.
yeah,
But there are just a few slip ups, and it feels like any other show, like they would have just caught that and edited it or something. Is It was just baffling.
not on Titans.
Nope, it wouldn't be Titans without you know like this.
I also wanted to talk about the Tim and Bernard stuff, and I mentioned this briefly yesterday.
Oh
That
boy,
felt the most. It just felt odd
it
because
was
it didn't
incredibly
feel like
odd.
it was integrated into the show. It literally just felt like two shows that were happening
Yeah,
at the exact same time. Because we got like Dick, Corey, and Raven. They're doing like the stuff over here, and they're dealing with their relationships and everything like that. And we did dive into Dick and Corey's relationship, but then on the side over here, we got Bernard and Tim debating if they should knock on the door. The hotel sequence is like, okay, what am I watching? This doesn't feel like the same show anymore. And that was my only problem with it, is it literally felt like it was filmed at a completely separate time and
yeah.
no one had the other script. So like no one's referencing how do we get in touch with Tim and Bernard over on the Dick and Corey side, but on the Tim and Bernard side, it's just like, yeah, we're tracking them. Okay,
Yeah,
so yeah, we're just gonna go to this hotel over here.
it definitely felt like a consequence of Tim and Bernard probably being something that was planned pretty late in the season or like last minute. And I needed to clarify it is I really like Tim and Bernard. And honestly, they even have a little more chemistry in the show than they do in the comics, which is funny. But
I'll agree with the
it's
chemistry in the show. I actually feel like they're
yeah,
trying to make something work. As
for
the
sure. Yeah.
comics is just terrible. The whole
Yeah.
portrayal's terrible. I hate
And
it.
like the comics have been getting better just a little bit as of the last Tim Drake issue. But yeah, it's definitely taken a while, right? And then this show sort of had it easier out of the gate. But then now they're in the awkward point where it's in the last season and they have to love each other very quickly. And I guess when the rest of the season comes out, you can probably see why they would have put it in this episode of all things if there's so much crazy stuff happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just so out of place. Like they had a hard time justifying their like need for the plot until the very end where they're at the radio tower.
It really just felt like it was a different show until the very ending where they picked up that guy, the son of the guy, and they're like, okay, now we're back on the show. Like
Right.
that's how it felt to me. It was just such an awkward, I guess, an awkward situation because you're watching this whole thing with Dick Corey and everything, because even the lighting changed, even the color grading changed. It just really felt like it was a separate show that got plugged in, kind of a situation. And it was just I don't want to say I didn't like it, because I thought if you had taken that out and just had their adventure, that would have been fine. I
Yeah,
just
I
feel
agree
like it felt
completely.
weird in the show with everything else going on.
Is tonally, it felt like
Yeah.
something that would have happened at the beginning of the season, but that wouldn't have made sense either. So you can see how they sort of like walked themselves into this problem.
I
Yeah.
didn't think about that though, because what, they only got like 3 episodes left, I think.
Yeah, it's 13 like usual. So
Yeah, so they're trying to cram it in where they can, because I doubt they want to end the season with, and now they hold hands.
right, definitely don't want to go through that.
That's what I mean. Like, you don't want to end it on that awkward moment. They obviously want to get to the end goal of this relationship, so they're just kind of speeding. I didn't even think of that in consideration, because in my head I keep forgetting the show's over in 3 episodes, like that we're coming to a conclusion, as opposed to, and that might be because this is like a side adventure, which was my complaint with the start of the Flash season, where it's like, aren't we ending? What are we doing?
It's crazy that the Flash season is even more baffling than Titans right now. this,
Yeah.
this video isn't even about that, so we're not going to get into it. But yeah, that's oh bad. But
I'm waiting for
it is
Flash to
over.
finish. I'm just gonna watch it all in a
Yeah,
sitting. That way, maybe it'll make more
and
sense.
this can segue into the next episode
Yeah,
because
I know you want to talk about that.
yeah, you just kind of this is the last time we're ever seeing pretty much anything that was shown in that multiverse sequence, which
Yeah.
is just it's crazy. It's been like a decade of this, and yeah, just this is coming to an end. Tines is coming to an end, I think, or Doom Patrol, and then Flash as well.
Yeah.
So I think the last thing that'll technically be out of this universe besides the movies is Doom Patrol. So yeah, it's a weird feeling. You know, this has been like a part of my life since 2014. Just this whole Arrowverse,
I was
vaguely
actually
connected universe thing.
I was actually just telling my wife upstairs. She's like, "What's going on?" Because she's catching me watching on the tablet while I'm trying to eat breakfast. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I
Right.
gotta finish this in 10 minutes because I gotta go live." So she's asking questions because she watched season 1 and 2 with me. And she's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Well, they're ending everything. The Arrowverse. They're ending the DC on HBO stuff. They're like, all of it's coming to an end except Teen Titans Go." And
Yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna end actually.
no, it's way too successful to end. And I love that there was a cameo for that in this, the waffles,
Right.
waffles, waffles. But so this particular episode, we find out what happened to Gar. Gar wakes up in the red and then goes through a spiritual journey. And the first 30 minutes are boring as hell. It's just him sitting there taking what I think is ayahuasca, basically, and hallucinating. Uh, but
I
like
liked
midway
it, but I get it.
through, they gave him a proper fight sequence as Beast Boy finally, which I thought was cool. I even wrote it to you. Okay, the transformation fight sequence is pretty cool. Bad
Yep.
CG, but you know what? I wasn't expecting good CG at this point.
Exactly. Like it was a little rough. And like the animations, they just seemed like they had less FPS than the rest of what was happening.
Yeah,
But you know what? It's been too many years for me to care at all. We finally got it, right?
yeah.
It,
We
at
finally got the
least
proper Beast Boy fight.
yeah, and they filmed this episode last out of the whole season because it took so much to put together. So they had the least amount of time to work on that as well. So you know what? Just yeah, I'm happy we got it before the show ended.
Yeah. And then once that happens, it's a very stretched out. He's falling through the multiverse moment, basically.
Yeah.
Where, and I missed this. My wife caught this one, but they show Grant Gustin's Flash. He took like spotlight for a second. I thought he was gonna walk out of the portal, but of course not. You know, they couldn't get
That
him on
would
set.
have I would have died.
I know, that would have been so great. He pops into Stargirl's world. So she got like a 2-second cameo. We get to see Swamp Thing. We also get to see Teen Titans Go. Shazam is flying her through. So that like links that into the movie universe, which they did with Ezra Miller forever ago. So they pretty much just tied that whole multiversal thing back around and just put everything into it, which I thought was great. And they
Yeah.
even tied in, and maybe you can answer this because this is where I was a little confused. I was trying to explain it to my wife.
Okay.
Doom Patrol originally was the backdoor pilot on this universe. When they made
Yes.
the new show, it's in a separate universe, right?
Yeah.
So did he fall through the portal to the new Doom Patrol universe?
I I am almost positive that he fell into the Doom Patrol show's universe, which also doesn't make sense because of what's happening to Doom Patrol right now. But you just gotta take it or leave it sometimes. Like Cyborg shouldn't have his cybernetic parts right now. But man, you know what? Just I think
Maybe
it's
it's
worth it
happening
just ignoring
before
that.
or after. They're pulling Batman
Right.
comics during Batman events where they're like, oh, it's before it,
Yeah. And so this episode was written by Ryan Potter, who plays Beast Boy, and also Jeff Johns. And usually, say what you will about Jeff Johns, obviously, but the episodes that are written by him tend to be the best ones.
Right.
He knows what he's doing, right? Especially in this show. So this was a long time coming where Ryan Potter sort of felt like, he just never got his due in the past seasons. He was always there, and they never knew what to do with him because you have to have Beast Boy in a Titan show. But oops, he's really expensive. So they just
Yeah.
didn't know what to do this whole time. And yeah, this is just his dream come true, basically.
Yeah.
He takes the role very seriously. As soon as he was cast, he started talking with Greg Sipes, who voices him in all the Teen Titans cartoons, and that's probably why they got the Teen Titans Go cameo in there, which is cute. So yeah,
I just thought it was funny that cameo was waffles, waffles, waffles.
right. There's a post credit scene, by the way. If you let it
Let me
play all the
pull it
way
up
on
real
HBO
quick. Yeah.
Max, it's just Cyborg eating pancakes for 3 seconds, or not pancakes. I have pancakes. He was eating waffles for 3 seconds.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it up real fast just to see it while we keep talking because I did end it as soon as the credits rolled. I'm like jumping on. I'm here.
Right. Yeah. That was another funny thing of this being switched last minute because when the first two episodes dropped on HBO Max a week ago, it had the previously on promo for this episode. So they're just scrambling back there. It had the wrong thumbnail too.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Yeah.
Yeah, the HBO Max is uh they're on fire.
How do you feel about the season overall? Then let's talk about it. We'll try to talk about it to the best of our memory.
Right.
But how do you feel? Does this feel like we're coming to a finale? Because I feel like it is kind of coming full circle. We've gone back to
Yeah.
Trigun. We're kind of wrapping that up.
Yeah, because I assume the plan was always to go 5 seasons, and for there's a lot of reasons why that didn't work out. But as far as like going full circle goes, yeah, just we're back to season one. Trigon's the main villain again, sort of, and then Beast Boy even showed up with his season one look in this episode for like a minute, which is really funny, and the old wig and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Also, now that we've noted the footsie booties that he's wearing,
yeah.
I couldn't unsee those every time he would move.
Yeah, it's like I get it. From a costume design perspective, it's like kind of cute, but it's a little
I
distracting. But it's traumatizing. So
yeah,
they're
it's
saving
just
the audience.
okay. It's just Victor Stone's face, and he's like,
Yep,
like what?
it's the goofiest thing, and it was oh right. So after that, it has a thank you message to Grant Morrison as well, who also cameos in the episode, which
He
is
was the
great.
bald guy, wasn't he?
Yep, yeah,
Okay.
that was Grant Morrison, and I like it's great that they got them, but that is so crazy. I would have never, just go back a few years and just tell somebody, oh, like Grant Morrison's gonna make an appearance in this show. You wouldn't even know like where to begin with that thought. Like, why would they even show up?
Yeah.
It's really cute. But
Well,
yeah,
I think it's
people.
Grant Morrison that has gone on record to state that he believes that Constantine is real and just traveling the multiverse, and he spoke to him in a bar once.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And yeah, it's funny because like the general audience doesn't know who Grant Morrison is, so they probably just think they're like some Les Luthor from an old movie they don't remember. So
Yeah.
yeah, just that whole sequence was
Yeah, our chat says
crazy.
they thought it was Lex Luthor. You're 100% right.
Yep, yep, yep. But yeah, it's so nice that they got them. Because I remember they were writing the Flash movie script with Ezra Miller as well for a while there, and that didn't work out. But yeah, like they've been trying to make the move into actual live action content for a bit, so it's cute that it finally happened. And
Yeah. That's a thread
this
you should make, the Flash movie. I'd love to see a thread of everything that has gone wrong from its original 2018 release date.
it would go back to 2005 with Ryan Reynolds actually.
That's the original?
It's been in development since the 90s, but more or less since active development. Yeah. Um, yeah, but good for Grant Morrison. Because if I remember correctly, like this is based off their Animal Man run in the first place. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool full circle moment for that.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty much it though. I don't really have much more to say. I'm enjoying this as a season finale so far. I'm enjoying these 3 episodes that I enjoy that more than I enjoyed the first 3 episodes of Flash series finale.
Yeah, that's definitely the best thing you can say about it right
Yeah,
now. And
because
yeah, it's
even though it was a side adventure to go get the horn, it still ties into Trigun and Brother Blood. Okay, that's a thing
right.
happening. This is related. So at least it's tangibly like we're still working on that goal, even if it feels like a side quest.
Yeah, and they're actually acknowledging events from season one as well.
Yeah.
And because every season of this show sort of feels like a soft reboot from the previous one,
Yeah, it
so
does.
it's nice that they're actually acknowledging it. But yeah, this I really just love this episode. It was cool. Beast Boy finally got, Jeff Johns just basically gave Beast Boy his own Speed Force because Jeff Johns can't help himself. But it was cool that he used this episode to basically say farewell to the kind of the original DC Universe streaming service
Yeah.
slate with like because even Kaylee Cuoco's Harley Quinn had like a voice clip that played, and it was basically it was everything except Young Justice, I believe, that showed up. And then also Jeff Johns sort of used this as to say farewell to his own work because that's why Shazam showed up and not a different cinematic character because that was based on his run as well.
Oh,
So
I was
yeah.
wondering, like, I get that you're linking it to the movies, but what a weird choice to go with
Right.
Shazam
It
as the.
took me because one of my friends who had seen the episode before told me like the cameos, and I thought they were joking because it just sounds like you know it doesn't sound like real whatsoever. It's very funny,
Yeah.
and it took me a second to think about it. But yeah, it's just that whole movie was basically the New 52 run, and yeah, so he's just saying farewell to himself. That's why Stargirl was there too. It's really funny.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy it. I thought it was kind of cool, and it's exactly what you said. He gave him his own Speed Force. That's how my wife was asking, like, "What's going on? How is he in the multiverse?" I'm like, "Well, you remember how the Flash can do the Speed Force thing and go through the multiverse?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, that's pretty much the red for Beast Boy. It's kind of the same concept. He can interlink into everything."
Right. And honestly, I've never read Grant Morrison's run, and apparently that was like established there as well. So I was making jokes about Jeff Johns just morphing the red into the Speed Force just for the sake of this episode. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it has an actual basis. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
So, all right, well, that's today's episode. Thank you for joining us again, Nev. You know what? You're better than Hassan, and you tell him I said that, everyone.
I will. Right to his face.
Right to his face. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and let us know your thoughts on this giant cameo fest of Titans that is these last 3 episodes of the latest one. Episode 9, Where is my Gar? Which
It's
we
still
didn't comment
going.
on, but the name of the episode is Where is my Gar? And that's just, I like that little
Yep.
play on words.
It's the next episode as well. I thought it would just be this one, but yeah.
Oh, it's the next one too?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
is
guess he's still in the Doom Patrol area.
Yep.
So anyway, guys, thank you so much, and join us next time right here at Absolutely.